Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman. Joining me today, a brand new rock star. He's the entrepreneur and owner and founder of graphic rhythm design firm, Ian Bauer. Thanks so much for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I want to jump right in. I was telling you right before we started recording, I was at a conference as we're recording this last week, and just really good design was a topic of conversation. So I wanted to pick your brain as you are an owner of a graphic design company. So sometimes I think when we're creating an offering, whether we're an entrepreneur, whether we're working in a company and we want to roll something out, I think we think of design last. So from your perspective, why is it important to create design as a part of your offering that really pops?
So here's the thing is graphic design is the way that your company looks, right? And for the same reason that you wouldn't show up to a job interview in your sweatpants, unless it's a Zoom job interview, you would also not show up to sell something to a customer in your sweatpants. So the obvious thing here is that, there's been a few different studies that have directly linked the idea of a strong and consistent visual identity and brand presence with higher consumer confidence and more willingness to buy. A lot of marketers are big fans of pointing out that if there is a disconnect between, say, your Facebook ad creative and then the landing page, like it looks different, then it actually it wreaks havoc on your conversion rates. And so aligning not only the messaging, but also the design in those two places can increase conversion. So the bottom line is that good design equals good sales. Now, I'll put like a little cautionary note here because I'm on the other side of this extreme, which is that I'm reluctant to launch until everything looks beautifully. And I think that that's too extreme. And I often have to kind of like counsel myself back into the realm of reality where we want to look good, but the idea that money loves speed is also, I try and keep that relevant in my mind. So don't let it become a reason not to do it, but definitely make sure that you look good.
Yeah, I always say that perfection is the enemy of progress in things like that. Sometimes we can just, because you can make a project never done if you if you refuse to launch. So that's a great point. In working with organizations, what are some design mistakes that you see other organizations or businesses making?
Well, so by and far, the biggest mistake is just neglecting it outright.
Mm,
Um, a lot of, especially like business, like startups
mhm.
or, coaches, consultants, they're like launching one thing. They'll tend to kind of put their logo and visual identity on the back burner, or they'll DIY their own designs. And I understand why that is, and
Sure.
I'm not necessarily against it, but I would challenge you to kind of entertain the idea that good graphic design is a way to hack authority. In other
Mm,
words, you
I
can
like that.
appear bigger than you are by simply looking the part, and again, going back to that job interview analogy, if you walk in the $700 suit, you are coming off as more professional perhaps, or more experienced, or commanding more attention, and having an overall bigger presence. So I'm not saying definitely go ahead and sink $2,000 into a logo and visual identity for a brand new product that you've never tested before, but at least entertain the idea that if this is something that you want to pursue, then you should think about you know the design up front, and presenting yourself well.
It's so funny, Ian. I live in a fairly small area in Ohio, and one of the things you always want is more restaurants, right? And so you see a lot of restaurants that open up, and you can just tell they haven't given that thought. As we're recording this, there's a restaurant that's about to open, and it was so funny. The moment I saw them on Facebook, I was like, "Ooh, they have a real logo. They're going to be great." And it was so funny how that immediately triggered. I'm like, they've really thought this out. They're treating it seriously. And that changed my perception of the business literally on a Facebook page. So I think it speaks to your point. So that's great. What are some things? So I'm sort of an agency model. I'm in the promotional products world, but we're kind of an agency model in that way. So, based on your experience, what are some things that a company like mine can do to become a better design partner for our clients?
Well, as an agency, first of all, I would always recommend that that you give the same care and attention to your own brand and your own visual identity as you do for your clients. Graphic Rhythm was actually um, guilty of doing this. If you had gone to our website 3 years ago, I'm shocked that people trusted us with their designs. And it wasn't because we weren't producing good graphic designs. It's because my whole team was focused on producing designs for our clients, not working on our website. Like we didn't even have a web designer on our team at the time.
Sure.
It was like we were doing t-shirt designs and mugs and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it's a whole different discipline. So, you know, don't neglect your own business in the course of doing business for your clients would be probably my first piece of advice. Um, and then look at your interactions with clients as an opportunity to provide value and become a trusted advisor when it comes to design. So what I mean by that is, depending on the agency model that you particularly have, but in broad strokes here, I really do recommend reviewing a client's logo. How does it look? How does it actually function as a logo? There's a lot of really crazy logos out there. And actually, I've got a great example of this. I was sitting in the barber's chair a couple of weeks ago, and I struck up a conversation with my barber, who's my regular barber, but I'm just like a quiet type, and we never talk about what I do. So I did this time, right? And immediately he wanted my opinion on a recent logo that he had somebody on Facebook ripped him off and made, and so he shared his logo with me, and immediately, like before he even got the thing close to my face, I could tell it was a bad logo. It
Right.
was a good design, but it was a bad logo, you know? And so you see that a lot with small businesses, is that they have logos that are functional as graphic designs, but not functional as a logo. So be a design partner, have that conversation with them. And then if you have the in-house capability for, working on a logo or visual identity with them, take that opportunity. If you don't, find an agency like ours that can work with you on a white label fulfillment. But, be a little bit more valuable, and you'll also be able to serve to increase your authority with that client.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, that's cool. So this has been fun, Ian. And I always like to, as fellow entrepreneurs, folks who work in this space, I always like to know how they find inspiration. I think as entrepreneurs, as creatives, sometimes you can kind of get in a funk, right? And so, but I've also think that inspiration can sort of come from anywhere. So what do you do when you need to be inspired to do great work? Is there like something you go on a walk? What's your kind of go-to move?
Well, as far as go-to moves is, I take a shower. My
Okay.
wife thinks it's hilarious. I work from home, and so like it's like 2:15 in the afternoon, and I'll go wandering through the house. She's like, "Where are you off to?" I said, "Oh, the shower." She's like, "I don't understand you. It's not the beginning of the day. It's not the end of the day. You didn't just work out. I don't get it." And it's literally because like I just need to I need a place where there's no electronics. They notoriously bad in water, and so it just works out. But um, I will point out that one of the big inspirations that I draw from it, and I was actually right before this call, I was going through the motions of it. I get really inspired by our customers because they have the best ideas. And so literally someone reached out to us through our support channel and asked if we do click funnels like web design, right? And we don't. But I was like, man, how cool would that be? Like we could really provide some value to people by doing that. And it also aligns with some other things some customers have been saying. And so I get really inspired by that. And actually after this, I'll probably go take a shower and think on it some more. But, I find my customers very inspiring. I really recommend that you listen to yours because they really do have all the best ideas.
Ian, that's awesome stuff, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Ian Bauer, founder and owner of Graphic Rhythm Design. Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.